Hi everyone! Today's article is titled Fired and Rehired. It covers a dramatic reversal in the US government. Hundreds of federal employees were suddenly laid off and then quickly rehired. The article highlights what happened, who was affected, and how political goals can sometimes clash with national security. It raises deeper questions about leadership, decision-making, and the consequences of acting too fast. Let's pause for a moment before we move into the article. We often hear about government decisions in the news, but we may not always think about how directly they affect our daily lives. From public safety to job stability, the choices made by government leaders can create real and lasting consequences. This article gives us a closer look at what happens when those choices are made too quickly, and what that means for everyone involved. Our theme is accountability and leadership. In times of crisis, how leaders make decisions, especially fast ones, can deeply affect people's lives. Rushing to implement policies without careful review can lead to chaos, fear, and damage to critical systems. This article focuses on what happens when leaders make mistakes, but also how they attempt to correct them. It's a chance to consider what responsible leadership really looks like. What should leaders do when they realize their decisions have caused harm to people or critical systems? Should speed ever outweigh caution when national security is at stake? Leaders must take responsibility when their decisions go wrong, especially if those decisions harm national security or public services. In such cases, transparency matters, admitting the mistake, explaining what went wrong, and taking visible action to fix it. Quick decisions are sometimes necessary, but they must still be grounded in facts and planning. In the article, U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright admits the layoffs were too hasty and immediately reversed them. This shows accountability, but also exposes the risk of making decisions without fully understanding their impact. Ultimately, leadership isn't about never making mistakes, it's about how you respond when you do. Now, to understand this article better, we need to familiarize ourselves with key vocabulary. We'll go over 3 important expressions, learn their meanings, and see them in action with example sentences. Let's start with the phrase layoff. It means to dismiss employees from their jobs, usually for cost-cutting or restructuring. In the article, nearly 180 nuclear security workers were laid off before most were rehired. Here's an example. The company had to lay off 20% of its staff due to budget cuts. Next, we have the phrase about face. It refers to a sudden and complete change in opinion, decision, or direction. The Trump administration did an about face by firing and then quickly rehiring workers. Here's an example. After strong public backlash, the mayor did an about face and canceled the plan. Finally, let's look at the word morale. It refers to the confidence, enthusiasm, and motivation of a group or organization. One Energy Department source said morale was low after the chaotic layoffs. Here's an example. Frequent policy changes can lower employee morale and productivity. Now that we've explored the main themes and vocabulary, let's reinforce our understanding with a summary dictation exercise. Listen carefully and fill in the blanks. Rapid layoffs of federal workers have disrupted the U.S. nuclear weapons program, forcing a rushed effort to rehire critical staff. Over 180 employees at the National Nuclear Security Administration, NNSA, were initially fired, but nearly all were reinstated after a backlash. Energy Secretary Chris Wright admitted the layoffs were too hasty, emphasizing the importance of nuclear security. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has been making many cuts in order to shrink the federal workforce. Let's check the answers and review what each word means. The first answer is federal. It refers to employees working under the national government. The second is disrupted. This means something was interrupted or thrown into disorder. The third is backlash. This is a strong and sudden public or political reaction to an action. The fourth is hasty. It describes something done too quickly and without enough care. The last answer is shrink. This means to make something smaller in size or number. Today's article highlighted key issues around layoffs, decision-making, and national security. We also learned vocabulary to describe these situations more precisely. Here's something to reflect on. What could be a better approach to cutting government spending without the need to downsize the workforce? Think about this from both the government's and employees' points of view. Can we balance cost saving with responsibility? Let's explore more next time. See you soon.